Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rechak Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And as you can see in this title alone, and this will be a straightforward lesson, right? But as it says, Trump administration launches new private health tracking system with big tech's help. And lately you've been seeing a lot of these deals. I think one that I saw recently was it like a $10 million deal or so with Palantir, right, and the government or the military. So they're now utilizing, because obviously they need the technology, right? They need these companies that specialize in building these things to provide them with the infrastructure and the technology they need to continue in their agenda. Now, when you read this, before I do it, I'm gonna play this part real quick.
This print prints everything to get your
Once this commercial passes.
Dream of today, the dream of easily transportable electronic medical records finally becomes a reality. This will allow patients to easily transmit information from one doctor to another, even if they're different networks and using different record-keeping systems. No matter what system they use, they're all transferable. The new standards will also make it simple for patients to access their own personal health records. I don't want to see mine, please. I don't want to see. I don't know about you. They have all sorts of things, sir. They can tell you exactly what your problem is going to be in 6 years. We can do it. They have all these different things. I don't know if they work or not, but I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. If they got a problem, I don't want to know about it right now. But it is amazing what they're doing. I don't know. Does it actually work? Can they do that? All right. Well, then I'm glad I said I don't want to know. But thanks to this announcement, healthcare providers across the country will also finally be able to kill the clipboard. It's an expression that's used, capital, with a capital C, kill the clipboard. Instead of filling out the same tedious paperwork at every medical appointment, patients will simply be able to grant their doctors access to their records at the push of a button. Just a button and you're all set, and all the information the doctor needs will be immediately transmitted.
So So you pretty much heard it there, right? And that is just another step towards that direction, because as you mentioned, a push of a button, more than likely this is going to be something that, like today you have Apple Pay, you put your phone to the reader and then boom, click, and then it pays for you, so you don't need to use your card anymore. And so eventually, as they bring it out, it'll more than likely be something that you can grant permission probably on your phone or something of that sort. But when it comes to health information, which is considered very private, eventually you'll see how it makes sense for them as they introduce and roll out the CHIP with all these different uses for it, right? Primarily for transactions, but not only for transactions, right? For identification, for medical records. By making medical records digitally exchangeable, it's very easy to add it to the list of things that can be stored or used by your CHIP. And with the CHIP, the introduction of the CHIP, think about it. If the CHIP, the implant, can do the same things or most of the same things as your mobile phone, why do you need the CHIP if you already have a phone? What, other than functionality wise, what added benefit does having an implant in your body give you over having a cell phone? Well, one case that can be pushed is security, right? You know how there's now they've introduced like the multi-factor authentication, right? With security, you can lose your phone, right? And if somebody has access to your phone, now that you have more sensitive information like your medical records and many other things on there, if somebody gets that, that can be very bad for you. But the chances of you losing an implant in your body, that's like little to none, unless somebody cuts off your hand or whatever. So eventually they'll start to push it more and more upon people, as they saturate your minds with everything going digital, eventually it'll start to become commonplace. That's a part of the deception that they're going to use to get people, right? Here it says President Donald Trump launches initiative encouraging Americans to upload personal health data and medical records to apps and systems run by big tech, which gives them even more power. Something else that's interesting to keep in mind here is the tactics of coercion. By leaving you the option, which is not really an option, because what they'll do is, for example, Apple does this, right? And some companies do this as well. What they'll do is they'll basically bring out a new update, and then they will start to slow down the old phones, the software for it, be it the operating system, whatever the case is. They actually do that, okay? And by doing that, it makes it so it's like, yo, how come whenever this new version comes out, all of a sudden the older ones that have later updates are moving slower or they're more buggy? That's because it's to encourage people, right, or force their hand to get a new one, because now the old one is not functioning right. Why would you need a new one if the old one works right? Well, if the old one doesn't work right, then you need a new one. Because just by trying to entice people with the new features alone won't be enough. Majority of these later phones, well, now they're embedding AI into it, but majority of them were pretty much identical. It's just a couple of user interface changes and user experience changes that they added. So they needed to add something more to cause people to want to adopt it. Similarly, when it comes to adopting these new systems, what seems like an option, just like the iPhone, well, you can choose to use the old iPhone, but you're just going to have to deal with the laggy and the slow behavior and so on and so forth. Similarly, you can choose not to upload your personal health data on here, but just know that now when you go to the hospital, there's going to be a longer line. You still have to do things by the old way, right? It's still going to be, it's going to be more stressful for you because everything is like more manual. Before eventually, just like on the iPhone, if you have a certain app or you go to the App Store, certain apps are no longer supported on older versions of like the iPhone, because they'll say like, due to some update or some security update, or whatever the case is, WhatsApp, for example, might not run on an older iPhone. So eventually on the medical health side, you might go to the hospital and they may say, sorry, this hospital, everything is digital now. We no longer do like, the paper and the old way. Let me call it like that. Right. And that's just to highlight that so slow, gradual transition that they use as a tactic to get people to adopt these new ways more and more. So it says here, the Trump administration is launching a new private health tracking system. You hear private, that's a problem. That asks Americans to share their personal health data and medical records with private tech companies. And you heard what he said in there, right? It can tell you what's going to happen in 6 years and so on. Well, if they can, use predictive models and so on to tell you what they think is going to happen to you health-wise in X amount of whatnot, then you have, I think, what the previous former CEO of Nokia said, right? Soon technology will be built directly into people, where you wake up and there's a voice in your head already telling you, good morning, time to get ready. I already told the coffee maker, because of adding it to the Internet of Things, I already told the automated coffee maker to make your coffee, but it looks like you're not feeling well, so I already made an appointment with the doctor. How would it do that? It would be able to send those records, whatever it detects in your body, to the hospital or the doctor or whatever, and say, hey, you gotta basically go over here and get checked. So it's an invasion that is coded in a deceptive form of like convenience. Officials say the new system will broaden access to health records, provide digital tools to manage diabetes and other conditions, and make monitoring wellness easier. So they make you sick and then they tell you, here's a convenient way so you can get access to help. And it's really a trade-off. You give them, they give you convenience, but what do you give them in return? It's like the saying, let me help you. You got to let me in so I can help you. But now what else are you going to do when I let you into my home? Meanwhile, experts caution there are a number of ethical and legal concerns. All right, and then they go into like, oh, this part actually, it mentions here, officials at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services have said patients would need to opt in to share their medical records and data, which will be kept secure. A lot of people today don't read. A lot of people today, they just want to get it done. When they see a long document, terms and service, whatever it is, they don't read it. And so it's very, very easy for, companies, when it comes to opting in or opting out, to get people legally to do something that they're not even aware they're doing. So that's not going to be a problem for them. Some of them might even need, try to find a way to see if it's legal for, instead of patients needing to opt in, they would need to opt out because they're automatically, in it. And by not opting out, that's a way of them opting in. They have those weird ways like that. Anyway, this is the book of Revelation 19 and 20, and it reads, all right, this is during the destruction, right, when the Lord comes back. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, and that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. So that main part here, the focus part, was with which he deceived them that received the mark. And that's what you're seeing now. That deception, is through painting something that is blatantly not good for you, right, and against the will of the Lord, into something that you now desire, something that it's hard to live life without, and making people think that it's okay to do, even though it's not. That is a art of deception that they have mastered. And that's why people end up harming themselves by trusting in some of these processes in this system, even though they know it's not good for them. They've somehow been deceived into thinking that that's the only way and that they should do it anyway. Like, what's this guy, General Yohana said, I forgot the exact way he said it, but, either like he's the devil, but, take it anyway, something along those lines. So there's that. Anyway, Lord willing, this is edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.